Okay, so this is where I was born. This is Lubbock, Texas. This is up in the panhandle of Texas, which is like the little hat or whatever. Okay. This is where I was born. My When I was born, my father was coaching here, and can you see this on the screen? Yeah, you can. My father was coaching here in Shallow Water. My granddaddy was born in a half dugout in Whit Harrell, Texas. That is where they build dirt into the side of a little hill or something, and it has like outposts or sticks, so it's like an open kind. It's a cave. He was born in a cave. He's a troglodytic man. He was born in a cave. God rest his soul. You know, he fought in the war and everything. God bless him. I love him. I miss him. I'll see you again one day. He was born here. Now, the joke about Whit Harrell, Texas, which is a town of like, I don't know, 80 people, is that the guy who founded it, apparently he moved there with some people, and the first night they were staying there, they were all staying in tents, and his name was Harold, and he was trying to, I guess, have a sexy time with his wife or something. They called it sexy time back then. And the wife had a lisp, so the whole night everybody in the outpost kept hearing her say, "Whit Harrell, Whit Harrell, Whit Harrell," meaning quit Harold, but since she has a lisp, and he was, I guess, trying to rape her or something, and that was the origin of the town. Is supposedly they named it after a guy who was trying to rape his wife. Now, every Thanksgiving, I would go drive from, Big Spring, Abilene, wherever we were living at the time. I moved about 11 times, all the way out here to Levelland or Whit Harrell for Thanksgiving. Up here in Littlefield, and these are all basically the same place, I would visit also frequently, and it's where my in-laws are from. It's where my wife's family is from. Coincidentally, I did it. I looked it up. I did an ancestry thing. We are not doing incest. We're not cousins. There's no relation. And if you want to go further down the Avery family tree, I recently discovered we're related to a guy named Cicero Millsap, who founded Millsap, Texas. He's my great-great-great-great-grandfather, but he was known for killing a lot of Comanche Indians, and he got too drunk one night, and he slept with the gun under his pillow because he never knew when a Comanche, a dirty Indian, would walk in. And apparently he got too drunk, and he laid his head on his pillow wrong, and he like blew his head off or something. He passed peacefully, I've been told. He was trying to sleep on his gun, and it went off. God bless him. There before the grace of God go I. So this is where I'm from, and I know all these places. I mean, Amherst, that's 8384, which runs through Tuscola, Muleshoe. I know all these places. Whiteface, God damn it. Yeah, Sundown. These are very small towns, and it's outside of Lubbock where Texas Tech is there. Abernathy. At one point, I lived way up here in Clarendon as well. So we moved all around the Panhandle, and over here is the Estacado Plains here. And this was like Comancheria, man, all throughout here. The Comanche ruled these plains. My great-great-granddaddy ended up somewhere in a small town out here because he worked really hard his whole life. It might have been around here in Alita. And he, my granddaddy made it to, into his 80s, even with he had 6 or 7 heart attacks. But his dad, who I never met, obviously, died when he was in his early 50s because he had the same sort of, he had a heart attack as well. He was at a family reunion, and all the brothers were there, and they were out there in New Mexico. And he suffered a heart attack at the table, and he was still alive, and they were carrying him to the car, and he said, hold up, put me on my feet. And before they put him in the car, they put him on his feet real quick. They go, turn me around. He goes, turn me around. And they turned him around, and he looked at the house. He goes, okay, I just wanted to look at it one last time. He goes, load me up. And so, my granddaddy, Don, and his brothers, Robert and everybody, they loaded him up in the car, and they started driving him, about 150 miles to the nearest hospital, and he died halfway there. He didn't make it in the back seat. I think about that story a lot too because he didn't want to look at his family one last time. He was proud of everything he accomplished in life, but I guess, he looked at his kids like people that used to work on his farm, basically, because he only had a bunch of kids so he could put them to work. And that was my granddaddy. Worked their fingers to the bone. As soon as they turned 16, they left the farm. Once they outlawed slavery, these guys, they were like, well, I got to find a white lady and pump her full of kids so they can work. So that was my great granddad. I never met him or anything, but he was very proud of all he accomplished. He came from nothing. And my buddy Aaron Gwynn actually grew up. So I grew up pretty much here in Abilene is where I kind of ended up. And I go up to Wichita Falls a lot for whatever reason, basketball games and whatnot. My buddy Aaron Gwynn grew up here. So, same kind of shit. Oklahoma, whatever. Now, this is Littlefield, which I haven't spent a Thanksgiving or gone here in 20 years. I mean, really, it's been a long time, but, when it comes to all my memories of my childhood and everything, people have remarked that, if you want to write great poetry or whatever, you grow envious when you read Robert Frost talking about, the winter woods and that sort of icy landscape. Or you grow envious of Melville talking about the sea. He grew up in he lived in Battery Park is where he worked, and he lived in upstate Pennsylvania where it's beautiful. He climbed that mountain. He went all around the world on the ocean. David Lynch grew up in the Midwest in serene, beautiful neighborhoods during Americana during the 50s, and he thought they were beautiful. And he said if you look close enough, in these cherry trees, you see a little pit oozing from the cherry and millions of little red ants. And I think he said, quote, I found that you can see the millions of little red ants wherever you look in America. But what do you do when you grow up in a place this ugly? And I mean ugly. I mean ugly as they come.
Texas.
And these are the small towns I grew up in, and I look back on them fondly. I just don't remember them being this bleak, man.
I wanted to give
because
you a look at
a lot of what I remember is like kind of the stress and the politics interconnected with everybody, and the just feeling really lonely at these awful churches, these awful people. I mean, really horrible people I love, a lot of people I miss, and a lot of these people were very bad people, and this big city sin is everywhere. It's in the small towns, too. People I went to class with got arrested for pedophilia, molesting people, doing B&Es, murder, meth, cooking meth, drugs. I mean, none of these people are Christian. You couldn't even call them decent human beings. You can barely call them human beings, a lot of them. And this is a class of like 80 people I went to school with. I look at the obituaries, I look at the arrests and everything. People are out of their fucking minds. They're like human raccoons. My buddy Aaron just texted me. Oh, he said, is now a good time? Yeah, let me call Aaron. Let me call him. Anything you want, you got it. I can't. Me and him both have our phones on Do Not Disturb, so people can't reach us. These places, man. Let me take my thing off Do Not Disturb.
what you see as you drive in.
So this, I didn't know this was considered a ghost town. I had no idea.
It's a bit of an eye-opener.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
A lot of...
Hold on. Maybe if I do FaceTime, sometimes the FaceTime audio works. Testing, check. Sometimes this thing this bloody thing just doesn't work. Hey, wait, hold on. I'm trying to get you to come through. hate when this thing does this. It drives me nuts. It's the Spotify's coming through. Oh, gotcha. You know what's weird? Sometimes it does come through. I can hear you now, buddy. Sometimes it comes through once I play Spotify on my phone. Then it will send signals to the, and then it picked you up. But hey, how's it going, pal?
Good. It just said, I was looking down at the phone and it said Ben started Spotify Jam, and I'm like, what? What's going on?
Oh, we can listen to Spotify together now. We can listen to Van Halen together.
Well, all right.
I want you to turn me into the
sounds all
ultimate
right.
Gen Xer. I want you to teach me how to do squats in my garage and listen to Eddie.
I can do that. Man, I was just listening to you talk about your granddad. That's an amazing story.
Oh, yeah. I think about that all the time because the thing he wanted to see before he died, the last image he wanted to remember was everything he built, which was his ranch that he had.
Man.
It wasn't like show me
digging
my
down.
wife or show me my grandkids or anything. He just wanted to look at the actual, the thing that will, not his lineage. That's what I find the most interesting. He wasn't looking at his DNA that will go on forever. That meant those were his, I think those were just workers to him. He was a tough guy. My granddaddy used to say to my grandnanny, rest her soul, Granny would say, Don, you're being way too hard on the boys. My dad, Jimmy, and my uncle Bobby. And Don would say, Lois, if you knew how easy I am on these boys, if my dad ever found out how soft I was on these kids and how soft these kids were, he would beat my ass.
That's kind of incredible. If you knew how easy I was on these boys, if my daddy were to see these boys, he would come back and shoot both of them in the head just for being alive.
I know. And my granddaddy was the type of guy, the puppy hammer story. Like, I mean, he was a tough cookie,
Man.
And my dad
Puppy
said, he worked his fingers to the bone on the farm with my granddaddy, and they declared bankruptcy 2 or 3 times. They were up in the panhandle, so sometimes does it rain, there's droughts, there's whatever. But my dad doesn't act like it was some sort of soft upbringing. So my dad, growing up, was like, my mom would always be like, Jimmy, should the kids get a job at 15, 16, just a little part-time job or whatever, which is what my wife ended up doing. My father-in-law encouraged that my wife work as soon as she could. But my dad always said, they're going to work the rest of their lives. Why make them? So, as you go down the generations, you get softer and softer and softer until you get, 2 boys that moved to L.A. to be artists.
Ah,
You know what I mean? How
that's amazing.
It took 4.
I don't know, man.
It took 4 generations. It took 4 generations to go from, my great-granddaddy to, God bless Jason's heart, getting a magnet therapy and stuff, or me kneeling down and being like, I don't want to teach my daughter shame. I want to uplift my child, making iced coffee and reading parenting books and stuff.
Man, my great grandparents were sharecroppers in southeastern Oklahoma. My grandmother was born in a literal dirt floor cabin. I would hear that growing up, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, look how good I have it. It never occurred to me to think why is your dumbass living? Why is your dumbass living in southeast Oklahoma? Of course you're a sharecropper. Nobody lives there.
Oh man, they're gone now. This guy submitted through the website, and I was texting my dad, and it evolved into a discussion about race very quickly, which we'll get into. But yeah, I sent it to my dad that people are exploring the places we grew up and saying, wow, look at these cool ghost towns. And this guy is going through the town, and he's peering into windows downtown of shops, and it's like, hey, Aaron, it's kind of loud. Are you outside?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
No, I'm inside. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
He's peering into buildings downtown, and these are churches with trash piled to the ceiling, little shops that say Mima's cookie shop, and he looks in and there's just pieces of plywood and chains and I mean, it looks like something out of Saw. Things boarded up.
That's amazing.
I mean, these people where I'm from and where I generally grew up, these places are now spectacles for what like a time capsule for life that
Isn't that
once
weird?
was. And I know you
That's
grew up in
really
places like
weird.
this too. Is this like, are people now getting YouTube channels where they're like, wow, look at this fucked up shit that sucks. Wow, it sucks. And you're like that. I was like, that's where we like spent Thanksgiving. That's where like we gathered around the table.
Yeah, man. I grew up outside. I didn't grow up in a town. We grew up on a ranch outside of a town of like 6,900 people called Seminole, Oklahoma. And like, I can remember going into town as a kid, and it felt like, man, I'm really going into a town. And this is a place now, like, you would barely notice if you drove through it. Like, seriously, like
Yeah. I mean,
it's like
they only are still towns
there's
if
like
they
a-
have a post office, right? And once that's gone, they're no longer a city anymore, right?
Yeah, and it had a Walmart. And so people from towns that are even smaller than this one would drive like 2 hours to go to like the Walmart Supercenter in Seminole, Oklahoma. But at one time, man, I thought about writing about it over the years. I've just decided I can't find anything there that is interesting enough. I don't believe. But at one time, it was the #1 producer of petroleum in the world.
Wow. Is that the Killers
So-
of the Flower Moon area? Excuse me, I
It's
burped.
south of there. No, it's fine.
Like
it's
I burped
southwest
like
of
I'm
there.
like a baby or something. I burped.
There you go. It's southwest of Osage, which is where my grandparents grew up, by the way.
Okay, well, Texas has got you on that because we got the Occidental Petroleum stuff now, the Permian Basin. We bodied you on that. You guys got nothing. You guys got nothing on us.
No, it's like, yeah.
What do you guys call it?
My state goes into the thing, and it puts a straw into your state.
What do you guys call yourselves? Muskogees or something? The Okie from Muskogee?
Okies. Yeah, Merle Haggard wasn't even from Oklahoma. That dude was one to talk.
So funny.
He
Man.
was from Bakersfield or something. He's talking about proud to be an Okie from Muskogee.
And whatever, man. Everybody
Dude, you're
steals
from
valor
Cal-
from the South. It's okay. The West,
Everyone
especially.
steals valor. Man, do you think when you're like on your deathbed, like next week, do you think you'll be like, turn me around so I can look at the podcast studio?
Like, could you imagine anything mattering less than like a half? But I don't know, man. Like, if you were born in a half dugout, if you were born in the dirt, and your brothers didn't survive childhood and birth, and like you grew up hearing stories about how your father and grandfather were killing Indians and scalping people, and how tough life was to move out here. You know, I mean, I guess that was like. Maybe it was more like a video game to them, because they were kind of born in Red Dead Redemption, and then they made it to, I guess, what they would consider civilization, because there's plumbing and stuff, you know. And there are wild bands of Indians riding around trying to kill everybody because they took care of that problem. So I don't know.
Man, can you
I mean,
imagine-
that's a lot of. They were more connected and in tune with death than us, so. I don't know. I
Far
don't know what
more.
to make of that.
Far more. But do you think, like when you read about people settling Texas, like the Texas colonies of the 1820s and 30s, or Revolution and Republic period, like people wanted to do that. Like they left the southern United States. They left like Tennessee and Missouri, and they came down into Texas, and they knew what the hardship would be, but they did it anyway. Like that's a really that's a really kind of courageous existence, or like foolhardy,
Yeah, I mean that.
maybe a little.
I think we
both.
have to remember too. They probably weren't. They probably on some level were also running away from something. A lot of these
Yeah,
people were
that's right.
settling in Comancheria, as you know, were criminals or people that wanted a new lease on life. This was kind of the appeal of the West too,
Yeah.
right?
That's right. You can start over.
So they,
You can start over.
dude, I just paused it on this part of the screen that it shows the demographic of race and ethnicity.
Oh no, let me guess. It's 89.5% white, and
Can you see it?
no, I don't have the screen.
Okay, so here,
I don't.
so I
yeah.
texted my dad. I said, Littlefield is a ghost town now. I sent him this at like 10 a.m. And he goes, "Yep, you there now?" I go, "Nope. There's a ghost channel, or there's a ghost town YouTube channel." And my dad goes, "I was raised there. Great town 50 years ago." And by the way, it's like you can act like it's an idyllic town. My dad had one of the only school shootings in the 70s. I have this pulled up here. This one, which I've talked about a couple times. 17-year-old student Ricardo Ricky Lopez went to his morning classes, and while there, showed a classmate a gun and told him he was going to shoot the principal, coach, and agricultural teacher. The classmate just laughed at him and didn't believe him. We always wonder if that was my dad, and he doesn't, because my dad was a grade below him. Anyway, later that morning, Ricky went to the principal, Mr. Omar Tripp, and told him he was sick and needed to go home. Mr. Tripp, 31, said that he would take him home in his car, at which point Ricky walked out the door towards the car. When Mr. Tripp came out the door with his keys, Ricky shot him. And I can barely even find newspaper clippings about this, but it says the bullet went through Mr. Tripp and hit the door behind him. Ricky ran down the street and across the highway to a small convenience store where he laid the gun on the counter and told the clerk what he had done. Ricky pleaded insanity at his trial and was placed in a state institute. I looked him up. He's still alive. Yeah, he said he killed Mr. Tripp because the devil told him to. The bullet hole and door are still there today. Whit Harrell is a very small town near Lubbock where all the students taught in one building. Mr. Tripp's wife continued to teach at the school until retirement. That's a tough woman there. And both of their daughters even graduated from Whit Harrell.
So this was the principal who got shot.
Yeah, Mr. Tripp, who my dad knew. But
Okay.
Mexican kid shot him and then said he was possessed by the devil.
Okay, but hold on a second. Maybe I've watched too much Lemon Party at this point and the show. But okay, does it make sense to you that you're a kid, like, and you walk into the office and you're like, I'm sick, I don't feel well, and then the principal says, "Hey, come get in my car. I'll drive you home." What?
Oh, you think he was
The
molesting him?
principal? What? I've never heard of a principal taking a student home in my life.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, but I think to be fair, I will say this. I think my dad said there were about 8 kids in his class. So I think
That makes more sense.
so it's like I think there was, I mean, in terms of it being a school, I think it was like 40 to 50 kids in the school.
Okay, well, that makes more sense. It makes a little more sense. It's kind of inconceivable that if a principal tried to drive a student home, like, he would immediately get shot in the head by ICE agents at this point, right? Like, there would be U.S. Marshals, and it would never happen.